Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison stared at the strange signal coming through his ship's communication system. The UES Frontier had been traveling through deep space for 3 weeks when they picked up the distress beacon. It was unlike anything he had ever heard before. "Amy, can you figure out where this is coming from?" Jake asked his pilot, Amy Rodriguez. She was sitting at the navigation controls, her fingers dancing across the holographic display. "It's coming from the Kepler 442 system," Amy replied, pushing a strand of dark hair away from her face. "But Jake, that's weird. The Coalition marked that whole area as off-limits. No one goes there." Danny Phillips looked up from his engineering station. He was a tall man with gentle eyes who could fix anything that broke on their ship. "The signal is definitely alien," he said, "but it's using our emergency frequencies. Someone taught them our codes." Lisa Carter, their xenobiologist, walked over from her lab. She was excited, like she always got when they found something new. "This could be amazing," she said. "A new species asking for help. We have to respond." Jake nodded. He had been in command of exploration missions for 5 years. His job was to make contact with new alien races and help them if they needed it. "Set course for the signal," he ordered. The Frontier moved through space toward the Kepler 442 system. As they got closer, their sensors started picking up more information. There was a large space station orbiting a planet. The station looked damaged and was slowly falling toward the planet below. "The station is in trouble," Danny reported. "Their power systems are failing. If we don't do something soon, they're going to crash into the planet." Jake opened a communication channel. "Unknown station. This is Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison of the UES Frontier. We received your distress signal. How can we help you?" The reply came in broken English, spoken with a strange accent. "Human vessel, thank you for responding. I am Research Director Veltar Quinn of the Zephyrian Science Collective. Our station is dying. We need evacuation immediately." "We're on our way," Jake said. "Prepare your people for transport." As the Frontier approached the alien station, they could see it more clearly. It was huge, much larger than their ship, but it was also clearly damaged. Pieces of metal floated around it in space. Strange lights flickered on and off across its surface. Amy guided their ship close to the station's docking port. Through the windows, they could see the aliens inside. The Zephyrians were tall and thin with pale blue skin and large eyes. They moved in a careful, slow way, like they were afraid of everything around them. "Welcome aboard," Jake said as the first group of Zephyrians came through the airlock. Research Director Veltar was easy to spot. He was taller than the others and wore clothes that marked him as their leader. "Thank you for saving us," Veltar said. His voice was soft and careful. "We did not think anyone would come. This system is too dangerous for most species." "What happened to your station?" Lisa asked. She was already looking at the aliens with scientific interest, but trying not to stare. "Our power core failed," Veltar explained. "We were studying the planet below from a safe distance, but now we are falling toward it. If we had crashed there, we would all be dead within minutes." Jake looked at the planet on his ship's main screen. It looked like Earth in some ways, with blue oceans and white clouds, but the readings his sensors were giving him were strange. "What's so dangerous about Thorson?" he asked. Veltar's large eyes grew even wider. "You do not know about Kepler 442b? It is one of the most deadly worlds in this part of the galaxy. The gravity is crushing. The atmosphere is poison. The weather can kill you in seconds. The plants and animals are all predators. The ground itself moves and tries to swallow you." "It doesn't look that bad," Amy said, studying the planet on her screen. "Looks can fool you," Veltar said quickly. "No intelligent species has ever survived on that planet's surface. It is a death world. Even our strongest warriors would die there in minutes." Danny was reading the sensor data. "The gravity is only about 1.3 times Earth normal," he said. "And the atmosphere has oxygen. It's a little thick, but humans could breathe it." Veltar stared at Danny like he had said something impossible. "You could not survive there," he said. "Your species is too soft, too weak. The planet would kill you before you could even leave your ship." Jake looked at his crew. They had landed on dozens of different worlds during their missions. Some had been dangerous, but they had always found a way to survive. "We might need to go down there," he said. "What?" Veltar stepped backward. "Why would you do such a thing?" "Your people," Jake explained. "Some of them are still on the station. If we can't get the station's power working, we'll need to evacuate them from the planet's surface after it crashes." "They will be dead," Veltar said. "The station will break apart when it hits the atmosphere. Even if some survive the crash, the planet will kill them in minutes." "Maybe," Jake said. "But we have to try." Lisa was already getting excited about the possibility. "Think about it," she said. "A new ecosystem to study, new life forms, new adaptations, new ways to die," Veltar said quietly. Danny checked their shuttle's systems. "The shuttle can handle that kind of atmosphere and gravity," he reported. "We'd need to wear environment suits at first, but the air won't kill us." Amy was already planning their flight path. "I can get us down through the atmosphere," she said. "The weather looks rough, but I've flown through worse." Veltar looked at each of the humans in turn. "You are serious about this," he said. "You actually want to go to that Deathworld?" "We don't want to," Jake said. "But if your people are in danger, we have to help them." "This is madness," Veltar said. "Humans must be the craziest species in the galaxy. No sane being would go to that planet." 2 hours later, Veltar watched through the Frontier's windows as the human shuttle flew toward the planet. The small ship looked tiny against the swirling clouds and flashing lightning of Kepler 442b's atmosphere. "They will not survive," he told his fellow Zephyrians. "It is impossible. No one survives on a death world." But as he watched, the shuttle disappeared into the storm clouds. The humans were actually doing it. They were flying straight into the most dangerous planet he had ever seen. "Veltar," one of his scientists said, "what if they do survive?" Veltar thought about this. In all his years of studying dangerous worlds, he had never seen anyone actually try to land on one. The humans acted like it was just another day's work. "If they survive," Veltar said slowly, "then everything we know about survival is wrong." Down below, the shuttle carrying Jake, Amy, Danny, and Lisa broke through the clouds. Lightning struck their shields. Winds tried to tear them apart. The gravity pulled at them like a giant hand, but Amy kept flying. Danny kept their systems running. Lisa watched the planet's surface rush up to meet them with wonder instead of fear. And Jake smiled. Another new world, another challenge, another chance to prove that humans could go anywhere and do anything. The shuttle touched down in a clearing surrounded by strange, glowing trees. Through the windows, they could see their new temporary home. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "Welcome to paradise," Jake said, and opened the shuttle door. Jake stepped out of the shuttle first. The air was thick and warm like breathing soup. The gravity made him feel heavier, but not enough to slow him down. Around them, the forest glowed with strange blue and purple lights. Plants that looked like giant mushrooms pulsed with their own inner fire. "This is incredible," Lisa said, following him out. She was already pulling out her scanner to study everything around them. The bioluminescence must be a response to the low light levels under the canopy. Amy and Danny came out last, carrying repair equipment. Danny looked up at their shuttle and shook his head. "We took more damage than I thought," he said. "The lightning fried half our electronics. This is going to take a while to fix." Above them, they could hear Veltar's voice coming through their communicators. The Zephyrian was still on the frontier, watching from orbit. "Humans, please report your status. Are you still alive?" "We're fine," Jake replied. "The air is breathable, gravity is manageable. We're starting repairs now." There was silence from above. Then Veltar spoke again, his voice full of disbelief. "You are standing on the surface of Kepler 442b, and you say you are fine? Better than fine," Lisa said. She was kneeling next to one of the glowing plants, taking readings. "This ecosystem is amazing. The chemical processes here are unlike anything I've seen before." Jake walked around their landing site, getting a feel for the area. The ground was solid under his feet, covered with something that looked like grass but felt springy and soft. Strange insects buzzed through the air, their wings making musical sounds. In the distance, he could hear larger animals moving through the forest. "Amy, how long for repairs?" he asked. Amy was under the shuttle with Danny, looking at the damaged systems. "At least 3 days," she said, "maybe more if we can't find replacement parts." 3 days? Feltar's voice cracked through the communicator. "You cannot survive 3 days on that planet. The temperature drops below freezing at night. The predators hunt in the darkness. The very air will poison you." Danny crawled out from under the shuttle, wiping grease off his hands. "The air is fine," he said. "A little rich in oxygen, but that just makes me feel more awake. And I found a stream about 50 meters that way. The water looks clean." "Do not drink the water," Feltar said, quickly. "It contains heavy metals and minerals that will kill you." But Danny was already walking toward the stream. He knelt down beside the clear, flowing water and cupped some in his hands. He sniffed it first, then took a small sip. "Tastes good," he said. "A little metallic, but not bad." Lisa ran over with her scanner. "Danny, let me check that water first," she said, but she was smiling, not worried. "The mineral content is high, but nothing toxic to humans. It might actually be good for us." Feltar was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was very small. "How is this possible?" Jake started setting up a defensive perimeter around their camp. He placed motion sensors in the trees and set up a warning system. But he was not afraid. The forest felt alive around them, but not dangerous. It felt like home. As the day went on, the humans settled into their temporary camp. Amy and Danny worked on the shuttle repairs while Lisa explored the area around them. She found fruits growing on tall trees, flowers that sang in the wind, and small animals that looked like flying squirrels with crystal fur. "Everything here is connected," she explained to the others as they gathered for their first meal. "The plants provide light for the animals. The animals spread seeds for the plants. Even the dangerous-looking things have a purpose." She had found some of the fruits and tested them with her equipment. "These are safe to eat," she said, offering them to the others. "High in nutrients and energy." Danny bit into one of the fruits. His eyes widened with surprise. "This is delicious," he said. "It tastes like a mix between an apple and a mango." From orbit, Feltar watched in amazement. "You are eating food from the planet?" he asked. "Food that has never been tested?" "Food that could kill you?" "Lisa tested it," Jake said simply. "She's the expert." "But what if her tests were wrong? What if the food is slowly poisoning you?" Amy looked up from her work on the shuttle. "Then we'll deal with that when it happens," she said. "Right now we're hungry and this food is here." As the sun began to set, the temperature started to drop. The humans put on light jackets and continued their work. The forest around them grew brighter as more plants began to glow in the darkness. "The temperature is dropping rapidly," Feltar reported from orbit. "It will be below freezing within the hour. You must return to your shuttle." But Jake was building a fire in the center of their camp. He had found some fallen branches that burned easily in the oxygen-rich air. The flames danced high and bright, warming the area around them. "Fire is dangerous on that planet," Feltar said. "The high oxygen content makes everything burn too fast." "That's why it's perfect for cooking," Danny said. He had caught some fish-like creatures from the stream and was preparing them over the fire. Food cooks faster, and the flames are hot enough to kill any bacteria. Lisa was studying the nocturnal creatures that came out as darkness fell. Strange cat-like animals with 6 legs watched them from the trees. Flying creatures that looked like jellyfish floated through the air, their tentacles trailing electric sparks. "Those are lightning jellies," she told the others. "They store electrical energy and release it when they feel threatened." One of the creatures floated close to their camp. Its tentacles crackled with blue electricity. Veltar's voice came through, their communicators filled with panic. "Get away from that creature, it can kill you with a single touch." But Lisa stepped closer to it, moving slowly and calmly. She held out her hand, not quite touching it. The creature hovered in front of her, its electric tentacles dancing in the air. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "It's not aggressive. It's just curious about us." The lightning jelly floated around Lisa for a moment, then drifted away into the forest. Other creatures came to investigate the humans throughout the night. None of them attacked. They seemed more interested than hostile. "This doesn't make sense," Veltar said. "Those creatures are supposed to be deadly predators. Maybe they only attack when they feel threatened," Jake suggested. "We're not threatening them, so they're not threatening us." When morning came, the humans were still alive and healthy. They had slept in shifts, keeping watch for danger that never came. The forest had been full of sounds all night, but they were the sounds of life, not death. Danny had made more progress on the shuttle repairs. Amy had mapped the local area and found several sources of fresh water. Lisa had cataloged dozens of new species, all of them fascinating and none of them dangerous to humans. "Good morning, Veltar," Jake said into his communicator. "Day 2 on the Deathworld. Still alive and doing well?" Veltar's response was barely a whisper. "This is impossible. You should be dead. Everything we know about planetary survival says you should be dead." "Maybe what you know is wrong," Lisa said gently. "Maybe this planet isn't trying to kill us. Maybe it's just different from what you're used to." "But the other species who tried to land here all died," Veltar protested. "Maybe they were fighting the planet instead of working with it," Jake said. "We're not trying to conquer this place. We're just trying to live here for a few days." As the second day progressed, the humans continued to adapt to their environment. They learned which plants were useful and which to avoid. They found ways to use the natural resources around them. They built shelters that worked with the local weather patterns instead of against them. By evening, their camp looked less like a crash site and more like a home. They had comfortable places to sleep, a steady source of food and water, and a growing understanding of the world around them. "Veltar," Amy said as she watched the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. "You should come down here and see this place for yourself." "Impossible," Veltar replied immediately. "I would die in minutes." "Or maybe," Jake said, watching the lightning jellies begin their nightly dance through the trees, "you'd discover that you're stronger than you think." On the third morning, Jake woke up to the sound of the ground shaking. The earthquake was strong enough to knock tools off their work tables and make the trees sway back and forth. But it lasted only a few seconds, and then everything was quiet again. "That was a big one," Danny said, checking their equipment. "But everything looks okay." Amy was looking at her scanner readings. "The seismic activity is getting stronger," she said. "There's a lot of movement in the planet's crust around here." Lisa was excited about the earthquake instead of worried. "This explains so much about the ecosystem," she said. "The plants and animals here are adapted to constant geological changes. That's why everything is so flexible and mobile." Veltar's voice came through their communicator, full of concern. "Are you injured? Earthquakes on that planet can split the ground open and swallow entire forests." "We're fine," Jake replied. "Just a little shake. Nothing we can't handle." But as the day went on, stranger things began to happen. Danny was working under the shuttle when he heard a mechanical whirring sound. He rolled out to see a small metal creature walking through their camp. It looked like a spider made of silver, with glowing red eyes and sharp metal legs. Guys," Danny called out. "We have a visitor." The others gathered around the mechanical spider. It was about the size of a house cat, but clearly not alive. Its metal body was covered with strange symbols, and its red eyes scanned back and forth across their camp. "It's a machine," Lisa said, kneeling down to get a better look. "But who built it?" The spider suddenly moved very fast, jumping toward Lisa. Jake grabbed her and pulled her back just as the machine's legs cut through the air where she had been standing. "It's hostile," Jake said, drawing his sidearm. But before he could fire, the spider scuttled away into the forest. "What was that thing?" Amy asked, watching the trees where it had disappeared. "Ancient technology," Veltar said from orbit. His voice sounded frightened. "The Coalition has legends about machines left behind by dead civilizations. We thought they were just stories." More mechanical creatures appeared throughout the day. Some looked like metal birds that flew overhead. watching them with glowing eyes. Others were snake-like robots that slithered through the grass around their camp. All of them seemed to be studying the humans, but none attacked directly. They're scouts, Jake realized. They're gathering information about us. Danny had managed to catch one of the smaller spider robots in a trap he built from shuttle parts. The machine struggled to escape, but it was stuck. Lisa examined it carefully, while it tried to cut her with its tiny metal claws. The technology is incredibly advanced, she said. But it's old. Really old. These machines have been here for thousands of years. What do they want? Amy asked. I think they're programmed to eliminate any life forms on the planet's surface, Jake said. They're probably why other species can't survive here. It's not the environment that kills them. It's these machines. That night, the real attack began. Dozens of mechanical creatures surrounded their camp. Some were small like the spiders they had seen during the day. Others were much larger. A robot that looked like a metal wolf prowled at the edge of their firelight. Flying machines circled overhead like mechanical vultures. This is it, Veltar said from orbit. The machines have found you. No one has ever survived an attack by the ancient guardians. But Jake was not afraid. He looked at his team and saw that they were not afraid either. They were humans. They solved problems. Danny, can you figure out how these things work? He asked. Danny was already taking apart the spider robot they had captured. They're all connected, he said. They use some kind of quantum signal to communicate with each other. If I can break the signal, maybe I can confuse them. Lisa, what do you know about their behavior patterns? Jake asked. They're hunting us, but they're being careful about it, Lisa said. They don't want to damage the planet's ecosystem. They're trying to eliminate us without hurting the native life. Amy, is there anywhere we can go where we might have an advantage? Jake asked. Amy had been studying the local geography on her scanner. There's a geothermal area about 2 kilometers north, she said. Lots of hot springs and electromagnetic interference. It might mess with their sensors. Jake nodded. We move at first light. Danny, how long do you need to work on that signal? Disruptor? Give me until morning, Danny said. I think I can build something that will help. The machines watched them all night, but they did not attack. They seemed to be waiting for something. Jake kept watch while the others worked and rested. The metal creatures stayed just outside their camp, their glowing eyes like stars in the darkness. When morning came, the humans packed their essential equipment and prepared to move. Danny had built a device from shuttle parts and pieces of the captured robot. It looked like a combination of a radio and a computer with wires and circuits exposed. This should scramble their communication signals, he said, but I don't know how long it will work. They started walking toward the geothermal area, with the mechanical creatures following them through the forest. The machines stayed hidden in the trees, but Jake could see their red eyes watching every move. The geothermal area was like nothing they had ever seen. Hot water shot up from the ground in tall geysers. Steam rose from pools of bubbling water. The air shimmered with heat and electromagnetic energy. This is perfect, Amy said. Their sensors won't work well here. Danny activated his signal disruptor. Immediately, some of the smaller robots stopped moving and fell to the ground. Others began moving in circles, confused and lost. But the larger machines were not affected. The metal wolf stepped out of the forest, followed by flying robots and spider machines the size of cars. They had found a way to adapt to Danny's interference. Jake looked around the geothermal area and saw an opportunity. Lisa, you said these machines don't want to damage the ecosystem, right? That's right, Lisa said. They're programmed to protect the planet. Then let's make them choose between killing us and protecting the planet, Jake said. He led his team to the largest geyser, a massive fountain of superheated water that shot high into the air every few minutes. The mechanical creatures followed, them moving closer for the attack. Amy, when I give the signal, I need you to trigger a controlled explosion near the base of that geyser, Jake said. That will cause a massive steam eruption, Amy said. It could change the water flow for the entire area. Exactly, Jake said. The machines will have to choose between attacking us and stopping the environmental damage. The metal wolf charged at them, its jaws opening to reveal spinning metal teeth. Jake waited until it was almost on top of them, then shouted, "Now, Amy!" triggered her explosion. The geyser erupted with incredible force, sending a column of superheated steam hundreds of meters into the air. The pressure change caused other geysers to activate, turning the entire area into a landscape of steam and boiling water. The metal wolf stopped its attack and turned toward the geysers. All the machines began working frantically to control the water flow and restore the natural balance. They had chosen to protect the planet instead of killing the humans. "It worked," Danny said in amazement. "They're ignoring us completely." "More than that," Lisa said, watching the machines work. "They're actually helping to improve the geothermal system. They're making it more efficient." Jake smiled. "They're not trying to destroy the planet. They're trying to perfect it, and we just gave them a new project to work on." As they watched, the machines began rebuilding the geothermal area. They redirected water flows, adjusted pressure systems, and created new channels for the steam. Within hours, the area was more beautiful and more efficient than before. "The machines aren't our enemies," Jake realized. "They're gardeners. They've been taking care of this planet for thousands of years." "And now they think we're gardeners too," Lisa added. "We helped them improve their work." From orbit, Veltar watched in total disbelief. "You turned the planet's defense system into your ally," he said. "How is this possible?" "We didn't fight them," Jake said simply. "We worked with them." Word of what happened on Kepler 442b spread quickly through the Galactic Coalition. Ships from dozens of different worlds received reports about the humans who had not only survived on a Deathworld, but had somehow made friends with the ancient Guardian machines. Veltar sent his daily report to the Zephyrian High Council, but his words sounded strange even to himself. "The humans have been on the planet's surface for 5 days now. They are not just alive. They are thriving. They have turned the most dangerous world in this sector into what they call a vacation spot." The response from his superiors came quickly. "Veltar, your reports are impossible. Send video proof or we will assume you have been affected by space madness." Down on the planet, Jake and his team had settled into a comfortable routine. The mechanical guardians now ignored them completely, busy with their endless work of improving the planet's systems. Some of the smaller robots had even begun following Lisa around as she studied the local plants and animals. "I think they like learning about the ecosystem as much as I do," Lisa said, watching a spider robot carefully examine a glowing flower. "They're sharing data with me through my scanner. Look at this." She showed the others her readings. The information was incredibly detailed, showing things about the planet's biology that would have taken her years to discover on her own. "They've been studying this world for thousands of years," she continued. "Every plant, every animal, every chemical process. They know more about life than any species in the galaxy." Danny had made even more progress with understanding their technology. Working together with some of the mechanical creatures, he had not only repaired their shuttle, but actually improved it. The ship now had better shields, more efficient engines, and systems that could adapt to different environments automatically. "This is amazing," he said, running his hands over the new modifications. "Their technology learns and grows. It doesn't just follow programs, it thinks." Amy had been exploring the planet with her new mechanical companions. Flying robots now served as scouts, showing her safe paths through dangerous areas and warning her about bad weather before it arrived. "The planet isn't trying to kill anyone," she reported to Veltar during their daily communication. "It's just very alive. Everything here has a purpose. If you work with the systems instead of against them, it's actually very safe." But Veltar was not the only one listening to these reports. Far across the galaxy, the Andromedan Assembly was holding an emergency meeting. Elder Kethara, the most powerful leader in the coalition, had called together representatives from every major species. "We have a problem," Elder Kethara announced to the assembled delegates. "The humans have done something that should be impossible. They have survived on a Class X Deathworld. If they can do this, what does it mean for the rest of us?" A representative from the Crystalline Confederation spoke up. "Perhaps the reports are wrong. Perhaps this world is not as dangerous as we thought." "We have tested that world," replied the delegate from the Gaseous Collective. Our best scientists tried to land there 50 years ago. They died within minutes. The environment is completely hostile to all known forms of life. All known forms except human life, Elder Cathara said quietly. That is what worries me. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates thought the humans were lying about their success. Others believed the humans had found some kind of advanced technology that protected them. A few suggested that humans might be more dangerous than anyone had realized. Meanwhile, on Kepler 442b, Jake received a message that surprised him. Commander Morrison, this is Admiral Sarah Johnson of the UES Enterprise. We're on our way to your location with a full diplomatic fleet. The Coalition has requested a formal investigation of your mission. An investigation? Jake asked. What for? Apparently, some Coalition members think humans might be a threat to galactic security. They want to see for themselves how you're surviving on that planet. Jake looked at his team. They had been living on Kepler 442b for a week now, and it felt more like home every day. They had comfortable shelters built into the trees. They knew where to find the best food and the cleanest water. The mechanical guardians had accepted them as part of the planet's ecosystem. How long until the fleet arrives? Jake asked. 3 days, Admiral Johnson replied. And Jake, they're bringing representatives from every major species in the Coalition. This is going to be big. Lisa was worried about what would happen when so many aliens arrived. What if they try to take over the planet, she asked. What if they want to study the Guardian machines? The Guardians won't let them, Danny said confidently. They protect this world from anyone who might damage it. We've seen how they work. But Jake was thinking about something else. Veltar, you've been watching us for a week now. What do you think is going to happen when your people see what we've accomplished here? Veltar was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. I think, he said slowly, that everything we thought we knew about survival is going to change. The next 3 days passed quickly. Jake and his team prepared for the arrival of the Coalition fleet. They organized their research data and made sure their camp looked presentable. The mechanical guardians seemed to sense that something important was happening. More robots appeared around the human camp, watching and waiting. When the Coalition fleet finally arrived, it was impressive. Dozens of ships from different worlds filled the space above Kepler 442b. The largest was Elder Cathara's flagship, a massive vessel that carried representatives from 20 different species. Human vessel, this is Elder Cathara of the Andromedan Assembly. We request permission to send down a diplomatic team to observe your operations. Jake looked at his friends. They had been through so much together on this world. They had learned to see it not as a place of death, but as a place of incredible life and beauty. Elder Cathara, you're welcome to visit our camp, but I should warn you, this planet is very much alive. You'll need to respect its systems if you want to survive here. We have brought full environmental suits and protective equipment, Elder Cathara replied. We will take every precaution. The first shuttle from the Coalition fleet landed near the human camp 2 hours later. Elder Cathara emerged wearing a massive environmental suit that made him look like a walking tank. Behind him came representatives from a dozen different species, all wearing their own protective gear. Jake greeted them wearing only his regular clothes and a light jacket. Welcome to Kepler 442b, he said cheerfully. Elder Cathara stared at him through his helmet visor. You are not wearing any protection, he said. Don't need it, Jake replied. The air is fine. The temperature is comfortable. This is actually a very pleasant world once you get to know it. Lisa approached the group carrying a basket of fruit she had picked that morning. Would anyone like something to eat? She offered. These fruits are delicious and very nutritious. The alien delegate stepped backward in horror. That food could be poisonous, one of them said. It's not, Lisa said, taking a bite of one of the fruits. I've been eating local food for over a week now. It's better than anything we have on our ship. Elder Cathara walked through the human camp, his sensors constantly scanning for dangers. But everything he saw contradicted what he knew about Deathworlds. The humans had built comfortable homes in the trees. They had tamed some of the local animals as pets. Even the deadly guardian machines were working peacefully alongside them. "This is impossible," he said finally. "Our scientists have studied this world for decades. No life form can survive here." "Maybe your scientists were wrong," Amy suggested. "Maybe they were looking at this world the wrong way." That evening, the coalition delegates watched in amazement as the humans prepared their dinner over an open fire. They ate food grown on the planet, drank water from local streams, and chatted casually with mechanical robots that should have killed them instantly. "Veltar," Elder Cathara said to the Zephyrian scientist, "your reports were accurate, but I still do not understand how this is possible." Veltar had been thinking about this question for days. "I believe," he said slowly, "that humans do not try to conquer their environment. They try to become part of it. They adapt instead of fighting." "But adaptation takes millions of years of evolution," Elder Cathara protested. "For most species, yes," Veltar replied. "But humans seem to adapt culturally instead of biologically. They learn to work with any environment they encounter." As the night fell, and the bioluminescent plants began to glow, Elder Cathara made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. He opened a communication channel to every ship in the Coalition fleet. "All vessels, this is Elder Cathara. I am ordering a complete review of our planetary classification system. If humans can survive on a Class X Deathworld, then perhaps we have been too cautious about which worlds we consider habitable." Jake smiled as he listened to the announcement. Tomorrow, everything would be different. The galaxy was about to become a much smaller place. 3 weeks after the Coalition fleet arrived at Kepler 442b, the galaxy had changed forever. Elder Cathara stood in the main conference room of his flagship, looking at reports from across known space. Every day brought news of human colonies being established on worlds that had been considered impossible to live on. "The humans have landed on Vortex Prime," reported his aide, a nervous, crystalline being whose body shimmered with worry. "That world has storms that can tear apart starships. The humans are calling it a windy day." "What about the acid rain system?" Elder Cathara asked. 3 human settlements established there last week. They say the acid helps them grow better crops. They have turned a poison world into a farming colony. Elder Cathara shook his head in disbelief. Since word had spread about what happened, on Kepler 442b, humans had been volunteering to colonize every dangerous world the Coalition had on their forbidden list. And somehow they were succeeding on all of them. Down on the planet's surface, Jake was giving a tour to the latest group of Coalition scientists. This was the 5th research team to visit in the past month. They all came expecting to find humans barely surviving in a hostile environment. Instead, they found a thriving community that was growing larger every day. "This is our manufacturing center," Jake explained, leading the group to where Danny was working with a team of Guardian robots. They were building new structures using materials they had learned to harvest from the planet itself. "The machines are helping you?" asked Dr. Zixara, a scientist from the Tentacle Collective. "But they are programmed to eliminate all surface life." "They were programmed to protect the planet," Danny corrected, looking up from his work. "Once they understood that we wanted to help protect it too, they welcomed us as partners." The Guardian robots had taught Danny and his team how to build with living materials. Their new structures grew from the ground like plants, but were as strong as metal. They provided perfect climate control and could repair themselves if damaged. Lisa was showing another group of visitors her research station. She now had the most complete database of Kepler 442b's ecosystem in existence, created with help from the Guardian machines who had been studying the world for thousands of years. "The biodiversity here is incredible," she explained to a group of biologists from 6 different worlds. "Every species has at least 12 different adaptive strategies. The evolution here has been guided and optimized by the Guardians for millennia." One of the visiting scientists, a being that looked like a walking flower, asked the question they all wanted answered. "How do you survive here when our species cannot?" Lisa thought about this carefully. It was a question she had been asked many times, and she was still working out the answer. "I think," she said slowly, "it's because we don't try to change the environment to suit us. We change ourselves to suit the environment. Not physically, but mentally." We learn to see opportunities where others see threats. Amy was leading a flying tour of the planet for Coalition military officers. She piloted a shuttle that had been so modified by human and Guardian technology that it barely resembled the original design. It could fly through the planet's fiercest storms and land in places that should have been impossible to reach. The weather patterns here are actually very predictable once you understand them, she explained to her passengers, who were gripping their seats as lightning flashed all around them. The storms follow the electromagnetic fields generated by the Guardian network. If you work with the patterns instead of fighting them, flying here is actually easier than on most worlds. The Coalition officers could not believe what they were experiencing. They were flying through conditions that would destroy most spacecraft, yet Amy made it look easy. Back in the main settlement, Veltar was working on his final report about the humans. He had been studying them for a month now, and his conclusions were going to shock the entire galaxy. The humans do not survive on this death world despite its dangers, he wrote. They survive because of them. Every challenge this planet presents has become an advantage in their hands. The high gravity makes them stronger. The dangerous wildlife has become their pets and partners. The deadly machines have become their teachers and friends. He paused in his writing, looking out the window at human children playing with young Guardian robots in the forest. The machines, designed to eliminate all life, were now protecting and teaching the next generation of humans. They do not conquer worlds, Veltar continued. They join them. They become part of the ecosystem rather than trying to control it. This is not just survival. This is evolution in action. Elder Cathara received Veltar's report while he was meeting with the Coalition Council. The leaders of 23 different species had gathered to discuss what they were calling the human problem. They are spreading too fast, complained the representative from the Gas Giant Federation. Every world we have marked as uninhabitable now has human colonies. Soon there will be no dangerous places left in the galaxy. Is that really a problem? Asked the delegate from the Silicon-based collective. If humans can make dangerous worlds safe, perhaps we should be grateful. But what about us? Demanded the speaker for the Aquatic Alliance. If humans can live anywhere, what happens to the rest of us? What is our place in a galaxy full of human colonies? Elder Cathara stood up to address the council. He was the oldest and most respected leader in the coalition, and his words carried great weight. I have spent the last month studying the humans on Kepler 442b, he said. I have reached a conclusion that will surprise you all. The council chamber fell silent. The humans are not a threat to us, Elder Cathara continued. They are a gift. They have shown us that the galaxy is much larger than we thought. There are thousands of worlds we believed were uninhabitable. The humans are proving us wrong about every single one. But what about competition for resources? Asked one delegate. What competition? Elder Cathara replied. The humans are colonizing worlds we cannot even visit. They are expanding into areas of space we never dreamed of using. They are making the galaxy bigger, not smaller. He activated a holographic display showing the current map of human colonies. Red dots marked their settlements across dozens of star systems, most of them in places the Coalition had never even attempted to explore. Look at this, he said. The humans are not taking our worlds. They are creating new worlds. They are turning dead rocks and poison atmospheres into thriving communities. The debate continued for hours, but eventually the council reached a unanimous decision. They would officially recognize human colonies on any world the Coalition had, classified as uninhabitable. They would also begin joint research projects to learn from human adaptive techniques. On Kepler 442b, Jake received the news while he was having dinner with his team and their alien guests. The restaurant where they were eating had been built in the canopy of a giant tree, with Guardian robots serving as waiters and local wildlife providing entertainment. The Coalition has officially reclassified this world as habitable, Jake announced, to the group. We're no longer trespassing on a death world. We're legitimate colonists on a garden world. Lisa laughed, looking around at the glowing forest that surrounded them. It was always a garden world, she said. It just took the right gardeners to see it. Veltar raised his glass of local fruit juice in a toast. To the humans, he said, Who taught us that the only difference between a death world and a paradise is how you choose to live on it? As the celebration continued into the night with humans and aliens sharing stories under the bioluminescent canopy, Jake looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, other human teams were landing on other impossible worlds, turning them into homes. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges. But humans had always been good at turning challenges into opportunities. Now they had an entire universe to explore, and nothing would ever be impossible again. The Guardian robots worked quietly in the background, maintaining the delicate balance that kept this world beautiful and alive. They had waited thousands of years for the right species to join them in their work. Finally, they had found partners who understood that the best way to survive in a dangerous universe was not to fight it, but to dance with it.